Hey, what's going on, everyone? So, have you ever had a friend do a program and lose a bunch of weight, get in great shape, and then you do that exact same thing or that exact same program, you don't get the same results? It can be so frustrating, right? You're like, how did this person lose all this weight or, achieve all these great results? I feel like I'm doing the same thing and I'm not getting results. However, I'm here to tell you why setting these expectations on yourself or placing false expectations are one of the biggest killers of progress, and how to set expectations instead. So, for those who don't know me, my name is Luke Briggs. I'm the owner of the Total Life Fitness Academy, where we specialize in helping parents and busy professionals lose body fat, build muscle, and have more energy. I've been a coach for about 11 years, and we've worked with nearly 3,000 clients. So I want to start with a story. This was probably about 10 years ago. So at the gym that I used to coach at, we used to run 6-week challenges, and it would be for one member and one non-member. So whatever member did it, they needed to bring in a non-member to complete the challenge with them. Now, one of our members who did it was, one of our most consistent members. She would always come and show up. And the person who she brought in, I remember the member came to me after about a week and a half into the challenge and said, "Hey, Luke, so my partner is getting really frustrated." I'm like, "Okay, what do you mean?" And she said, "Well, she's not losing as much weight as she wants. She's like in a plateau." And I'm like, "Okay, well, what do you mean? Explain further." And she was like, "Well, in the first week, she lost 8 pounds. And then this week, she's only lost 1 pound." And this was like Thursday. So this really made me realize that this person wasn't actually failing. She had lost like 9 pounds in like 11 days, but she had placed this unrealistic expectation on herself, because probably the first week, every single day, the scale was down a pound. And she's like, "Holy cow, this is great. This is incredible." She was probably way overeating ahead of time. And now all of a sudden, she'd only lost 1 pound in the last 4 days, which is great progress compared to especially where she was. But she had this expectation that she needed to either lose a ton of weight immediately or it wasn't going to work and she was failing. So, a mindset that's really served me well recently that I struggled with for many years is not putting a timetable on my goals. So, in June of 2017, that was the last time that I competed in a powerlifting meet. And for those who don't know what powerlifting is, it's back squat, bench press, and deadlift, all with a barbell for one rep, as heavy as you can do. And from June of 2017 till March of 2021, I just kind of trained to train. I wasn't really aiming for anything in particular. I wasn't really motivated to train specifically for something. I lost a little bit of strength, lost some of my results. But then in early 2021, I remember I was like setting goals for my business, and my business coach said, if you want to improve your results or work on improving your business, you need to look the part yourself. And you need to have a transformation yourself. And I'm kind of like, "Yeah, well, I guess I haven't really had a transformation like that in a few years." And I was kind of looking down at my body. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm kind of average right now." So I decided that I need to do something. Like, I want to do something. I'm motivated again to train for something. So I decided that I wanted to do another photo shoot. I had done one before and I really like body transformation. So I wanted to do another photo shoot. And I remember for like a week, I signed up for like an app that was like $19.99 a month. And then I'm like, "Okay, this isn't going to work." So I actually hired a coach, because I take it way more seriously when I'm more invested, even though I am a coach myself. So I ended up, for over the next 3.5 months, dropping some body fat and getting lean for this photo shoot. And this was in June of 2021 when I did it. It was June 19th, 2021. And at this point, I was actually pretty skinny though. So I was, 157 pounds on the day of the photo shoot, which was lighter than I wanted to be. I wanted to be at least 170 next time I did a photo shoot. And for those who don't know, like, putting on muscle is actually pretty challenging. So for someone like me who's been training for a while, to put on at least 13 pounds of muscle was going to take a while, and I knew that. So instead of saying, "Okay, well, I'm going to do a photo shoot again in 6 months or 12 months or whatever it is," I didn't put a timetable on it. I just said, I'm going to work with my coach. I'm going to trust the process. And when I'm ready, I'm ready. So I ended up over the next 16 months gaining 50 pounds. I went from 157 to 207. No, this was not all muscle. There was definitely some body fat in there as well. And then what I ended up doing was I cut down from October until June 3rd of 2023 this year, and lost 35 pounds, got to 172, and ended up being bigger for my photo shoot this time. And I felt a lot better. So the entire process took me about 2 years, and I didn't know how long it was going to take me, but I also didn't put an expiration date on it for me, because I just knew that if I put in the effort, eventually I'm going to get there. It always kind of boggles my mind, and this is exactly how I used to think as well, is like we place these arbitrary expectations on ourselves. Like I need to lose X pounds in X weeks. I need to lose 30 pounds in 12 weeks. I need to lose 20 pounds in 8 weeks, whatever it is. And this is all or nothing thinking. Like if I don't achieve X in Y time, then it's not even worth it. I'm just going to fall off and I don't care. It's because we set the expectations that this is normal, when a lot of those before and after pictures that we see out there, we have no idea where that person's starting from. So, for example, my dad, in March of, this was what, 2021, he was dissatisfied because he had gained quite a bit of weight. He'd probably gained like 30, 40 pounds over the last, few years, just slowly and little. And then he ended up in the next 7.5 weeks or 8 weeks, losing 32 pounds, which is like 4 pounds a week, which is really crazy. And it wasn't because his body had better genetics. It was just because, frankly, he was way overeating. Like he was just grabbing little bit handfuls and little snacks here or there, and lost a tremendous amount of weight in a short period of time. Now, this is not normal. A lot of people who are coming into the challenges or the transformation, they want to lose weight at that rate, assuming that that's their goal. And they might be starting from a completely different spot because they may have been dieting a lot or in a calorie deficit up to that point. So they might need to do a maintenance period or a reverse diet period at first to even get their metabolism in good enough working order. And they haven't been overeating by as much as my dad was probably overeating by. So they need to have different expectations. So what we need to do is we need to reset expectations. We need to tell ourselves, we need to expect this to be hard. We need to expect this to take a long time, but know that it will be worth it, because we're going to have more energy. We're going to not wake up tired. We're going to feel better. We're going to fit better in our clothes, whatever it is that your goal is. So many people think it's going to be easy and simple. Oh, all I have to do, I just need to, for the next 8 weeks, just really tidy down. I'll get the weight off and then I'll be fine. That's how so many people think. And that's why so many people regain the weight and don't sustain the results, because they expect it to be easy and set a timeline on it. The problem also is so many people quit or stop right before they're about to break through. They'll lose 10 pounds in 10 weeks, which is a phenomenal rate of progress. And they'll think, oh, I'm not losing weight fast enough. Oh, this just isn't worth it. I quit. And quitting too early, even though the person is like right there, like just about to see success, is exactly why most people don't see success. If you never stop, you can never fail. If you never stop, you can never fail. I personally failed for years. So when I was 22 years old, after training consistently for a few years all through college, I finally decided, okay, it'd probably help if I actually learned a little bit more about all the strength training stuff and building muscle, because I'm just like winging it, looking at what other guys do in the gym. I have no idea what I'm actually doing. So I decided one day to actually Google search how to build muscle, how to train. And lo and behold, there was this whole world out there of blogs and books and all this stuff about how to actually train properly or how to eat properly. And I'm like, holy cow, I didn't even know all this existed. And I started researching it and finally realized a lot of things that I was missing. But this entire time, I still had the same mindset that I had previously. So from about 22 to 27, I didn't really see that great of results, even though like I was learning a lot. I mean, I would literally have like years where I would train 4 to 6 days a week. I would eat healthy. I would weigh and measure my food. I would track like the calories that I thought I was taking in. And I would have like entire years where I'd be like the same weight at the beginning of the year as I was at the end of the year, despite all this effort. And I was like, how am I putting in all this effort and not seeing results? It was so frustrating. I did this for like 5 years. And then eventually I decided enough is enough. And I decided to hire a coach. So one of the first things that the coach had me do was actually weigh and measure and check in each week. So I realized like once I actually weighed and measured my food and like made sure I finished it all every time and like did that consistently every week, I realized I was actually seeing results. The weight was dropping. I was getting leaner. And I'm like, holy cow, this has never happened before. What's going on? And I was more muscular. I had more definition in my arms and my shoulders. And it was because I realized that I was not as consistent as I thought I was, because I actually started tracking data. I actually started measuring things from week to week. So my lesson here was consistency, but also like another lesson is like you need to expect you're going to have days and weeks where you feel like you're doing everything right, but the scale doesn't go in the direction that you want. Because I would weigh myself daily instead of just weighing myself randomly throughout the week. Like I would weigh myself, Monday with clothes on, and then I would weigh myself Friday at the end of the day naked or in underwear. And it was like the consistency of me weighing was all over the board, so I didn't think I was making progress. Once I actually started weighing consistently at the same time of the day, first thing in the morning before I ate or drank anything, after I went to the bathroom, and I did that consistently for weeks, I realized, hey, I had days where the scale would go up or down, but I just needed to look at the trends throughout the entire week. And then I developed a much healthier relationship with the scale, because to this point, I was always so frustrated with the scale because it didn't say what I wanted it to say. And I even had I wasn't even perfect. I wasn't rock solid every second. But the thing that I learned here was that I just needed to not give up. Like I'd gone 5 years of more or less struggling to all of a sudden in 5 months of working with that coach, getting better results in 5 months than I had the previous 9 years training on my own. Because I finally figured out the right strategy. It was all because I never gave up. So if we're not meeting expectations, we need to look at why are we not meeting expectations? Are we putting in the level of work that's required to meet those expectations? That's a tough one right there. That's why I'm a huge fan of tracking data. Are we actually putting in the level of work that's required to meet those expectations? Because numbers don't lie, people do. And in most cases, when someone comes up to me, and I've had this several times in the last couple weeks even, and says why am I not losing weight? I'm trying so hard. In most cases, you're not as consistent as you think you are. I'm going to say this again. You are not as consistent as you think you are if you're not getting the results you want. Don't be upset for the results you're not getting because of the work you didn't put in. It sounds harsh, but it's so true. And when you actually look at it objectively and say, well, yeah, I mean, I'm eating really healthy, I'm working out all the time, I'm not seeing results. But then you actually look at it and you're like, okay, I only tracked 3 times this week, but then we were out of town, we were on vacation, but that's not a normal week. And then the next week, you have, more work than usual at work, and you're like, oh, but that's not a normal week. I'm more consistent with this. And then it's the same thing every week, right? You have some reason why it's not a normal week, but in reality, that is a normal week because you're not consistent like you think you are. So you can't just try your best, quote unquote. I hear people all the time saying, well, I'll try my best. I'll try to do it. You can't just try your best if you want to achieve better results. You need to do what it takes, especially if you are unconfident in your body right now. If you're frustrated, you're like, why am I not losing weight? These clothes don't fit. You can't just keep, quote unquote, trying your best. You have to do what it takes to be successful. If your best isn't good enough right now, that's okay, because you can get better. And that comes from having a growth mindset. So for those who don't know, there are two mindsets, according to Carol Dweck, who's a researcher who wrote the book Mindset in the year 2006. There's a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. So a fixed mindset is defined as believing that you are limited by your current abilities. So you're only as smart, you have a limit on how smart you can be. I'm only this smart, or you have a limit on your potential. Whereas growth mindset says, well, I may be this level of intelligence right now, but if I work really hard, I can get smarter or get better at this specific task or activity. And that applies to everything in life. And which one do you think wins? The growth mindset. If you believe that your body is just the way it is and you can never change, it's fixed, you're not going to change because you have that self-limiting belief. But if you believe that, well, I haven't changed to this point, but I know that if I just improve my skills, improve my knowledge, improve my consistency, get some support, I can change. And you might have a fixed mindset because you don't have any evidence to suggest that you can be successful at this time. Why would you believe in yourself? You've literally failed 15 times in the past. How could you possibly believe that you're going to be successful this time? But now, when you have a growth mindset, you know that you just need to simply prove it to yourself that change is possible. All it takes is one time. Doesn't matter how many times you failed in the past. All it takes is one time. And then it's worth it. For me, I failed for 9 years to try to transform my body. But then when I finally figured out a couple missing ingredients, boom, I took off like rocket fuel. Because I learned the lessons that I needed to learn. So you need to tell yourself, like, why is it worth it for you to change? Why is it worth it for you to put in all this effort? Is it going to improve your confidence? You don't have to feel uncomfortable when you go out with friends because your clothes don't fit right. They're tight and you think everyone's judging you. Is it because you want to have better health? You want to reduce the risk of health concerns down the road. Not everything's preventable, but with a lot of things, you can reduce your risk. Do you want to have better energy? Do you want to wake up and not feel tired and groggy throughout the day? You want to feel like you have an abundance of energy. You can do all these things. You can be so much more productive and not have to think like, can I do this or not? For me, the realization that I can do it came the first time I hired a coach. When I had to check in and track the data every week, which I kind of already explained, but the level of effort that's required from looking okay to looking great for me was much higher. So I couldn't just have 3 days every week of like semi-tracking or like, okay tracking. That wouldn't cut it anymore. I needed to be more consistent. And for a lot of you, if you're not in the shape you want to be right now, you may not want to look like me or look like some of our members who are, very fit, right? You just want, like, you don't want to look like a CrossFit, person who's absolutely shredded, right? Who are some of the highest level competitors, but you just want to be lean and healthy. But you're not right now. So the level of effort that's required is going to be greater than you're currently giving. But that's okay because you can get better. You just need to prioritize differently. You need to change your beliefs. I know a lot of you will say, yeah, I could just never do that. It's going to be really tough. I just don't have time right now. I don't think I'm going to be able to stick with it. I'm going on vacation. I'm going to need to have so much willpower. Even if I do this, it's not going to work for me. Stop. Just stop saying that. Your self-talk is exactly what's killing your progress right now. The way that you are speaking to yourself, whether it be internally or externally, the things you're verbally saying, that is literally killing your progress. And I keep harping on this over and over again on this podcast, but it needs to be restated over and over again, because literally in the last like 2 weeks, I've had so many people who have said things where I'm just like, that is exactly why you're not getting results, because you're saying things like that. Oh, I could never do that. Oh, I know that if I go to the party, I'm just going to overeat. Stop it. You are placing that belief on yourself by saying it. Do not place that belief on yourself. Change your language patterns. Hey, I know that maybe in the past I've eaten at parties, or I've fallen off track after a couple weeks, but I'm working on improving my consistency. Boom. Say, I'm working on improving my consistency. I'm working on improving my consistency. Next time you find yourself saying something that is negative in relation to your belief in yourself or your ability to transform or change, you want to integrate that exact phrase that I just talked about, and it will make a world of a difference. So how do you actually set proper expectations for yourself? You need to set expectations based on the level of effort that you're willing to put in. Stop putting a timetable on your goals. Now, I'm not saying you can't put a timetable. In fact, I do with many of my goals, right? Like I have a primary like business goal I want to achieve each year. I do have like, okay, I want to achieve it by the end of the year. But so many people say like, I want to lose 10 pounds by the time I go on vacation, or I want to lose 20 pounds by the time the summer hits, because we're going to be out and about with friends a lot, or we're going on vacation in January. I want to look good for that. So what happens when you lose those 20 pounds? You're just going to gain it back because you put an end date on your goals. So the goal isn't to achieve the goal. The goal is to become the type of person who would achieve that goal. That's what James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, wrote, and that's always really stuck with me, is that the goal isn't to achieve the goal. You need to become the type of person who would achieve that goal. The goal isn't to lose weight. The goal is to become a healthy eater. The goal isn't to run a marathon. The goal is to become a runner. Hear the difference? So in reality, you need to focus on the things you can control. And the things that you can control are not the weight on the scale. They are your habits. So what I want you to do is get a tracker and write down every day whether you are doing these activities. Are you logging your food? Are you hitting your calorie and protein targets? Are you weighing your food? Whatever that habit is for you. Did you get 10,000 steps today, or 8,000 steps, or whatever you're shooting for? Did you work out today? And by tracking those things every single day, you will quickly realize why you are not achieving your goals if you aren't. Or if you are achieving your goals, that's why, because you're consistent. And if you're not getting the results you want, but you're putting in the right level of effort, that's okay, because you either just need to adjust the strategy, or you just need to be more patient and just give it time and know that, hey, maybe I was up a pound this week, but next week I'll probably be down. So focus on habits, give it time, and don't focus on the number on the scale. Set expectations based on things that you can control. And I promise you, if you work on these things that I talked to you about today, you work on resetting your expectations to expect it to be hard, understanding that even if you haven't achieved what you wanted to achieve to this point, it's still possible to achieve. You just have to change your behaviors, get a little uncomfortable, and move forward. And then to not put a timetable on your goals. I guarantee you will see your results improve. So hopefully this has been helpful for you today. If you want to connect, make sure to check out the links in the show notes, and we'll see you soon.